All right, Entree Architect community, 4 p.m. Eastern, which means it's time for the Entree Architect Context and Clarity conversation for Friday, January 28th, 2022. This looks a little bit different than you've ever seen it before, but welcome. Thanks for joining us today. As you get here, say hi. Let us know that you're here and let us know where you're joining the conversation from. If we've never met before, my name is Jeff. I'm Jeff. Hi, I'm in Indianapolis. I'm joined by a bunch of friends today. We will introduce everybody here in a moment, but introduce yourself. We do this every weekday afternoon at 4 p.m. Eastern for one reason, so that we can find clarity around the things that matter most to you, the architect. Doesn't matter if you're the employee of a firm or you own your own firm. Maybe you circled a date on the calendar and said 2022 is my year, and you're on the runway to starting your own thing. Or maybe you have owned your own firm for a year or 10 years or 27 years, and you're starting to rethink or maybe even reimagine what that firm could or maybe should be. All of the topics that we cover, one topic every day, they all fall under the broad umbrella of the business of architecture. And they're all the need to know topics for the success of small firm architects just like you. So welcome. Thanks for being here today. Thanks for saying hi today. Continue to say hi as you get here. It looks different today if you have joined us in the past, because today is number one. It is our inaugural. It is the first ever Context and Clarity Book Club discussion. We've been looking forward to this. We've been excited about this. And we're going to discuss a book today called Atomic Habits by James Clear. So we will we'll jump into that here in just a minute. I see Sarah Lee has joined us from Salt Lake City, Utah. She's the first in on my screen, which means that she is the winner of today's John Kenny Memorial Crocheted Bathtub Award. So congratulations, Sarah Lee. John Jones over in Connecticut says he's on the outside looking in. He says he's not a good reader. That's okay. That's all right. You know of the book. You're going to be able to respond to this conversation, and that's the key, right? We're going to have this conversation live on the screen and with you in the comments section. So glad to have you all with us. I see Tim Dearborn from Stockton, California. Chris has joined us from Massachusetts, and Jefferson from LA. Hans from Portland, Maine. Who else? Diego's down there. He's joining us from on YouTube from Nicaragua. Wendy's in Western Mass. And who else? Who have I missed? I'm pretty sure I missed somebody. If you are in the Entree Architect Community Facebook group right now and your comments are not showing up on screen, my suggestion is that you take a look at the URL. It's the bottom left of your screen right now. It's chat.restream.io/FB, as in Facebook. With a couple of clicks, you can give Facebook permission to allow your information to go out here to Restream, which is the platform that we use here that you see the 6 of us on right now. So if you're not showing up, or if you show up as Facebook user, I haven't seen that in a while, but if you do happen to show up as Facebook user without your picture, also go to chat.restream.io/FB, as in Facebook, and re-up those permissions. Apparently you have to do that every 6 months, so it may have expired for you. Maybe the new year brought a new challenge that is easily overcome at this point just by going to that URL. With that, as everybody else is coming in, I see Elizabeth Carmichael. Hi, Elizabeth Carmichael. Welcome back. Happy Friday to you. Let's go around the room. We've got some guests on the screen. You don't usually get this view, but we've invited members from our community that wanted to be on screen, that have read the book and are I think they're ready to discuss. They're happy to discuss the book today. They are with us here in the studio today as they speak. So as usual, I'm joined by my co-host, Catherine McPhail. Hi, Catherine.
Hi, Jeff. Every time you say you're on the runway to start your own thing, I think you're going to say you're on the runway to stardom. I think that sounds a little more exciting. Yes, if you haven't started your own thing, that's exciting too. Anyway, I just thought that, and I thought I'd tell you. Every time you say that, I think, when you say you're on the runway to starting your own thing, but I think you're going to say stardom. You're on the runway to stardom.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Which would be really exciting for 2022, wouldn't it?
Yeah, we can change that. You can be on the runway to stardom if you'd like.
I'd rather do that, yeah.
You two have already arrived.
I mean, we are on the runway to stardom, so maybe that's why.
Well,
we're pretty close.
Is the 15 minutes right here. This is Warhol's 15 minutes. All right. Well, we'll have to change that.
It's nice to see you again, Jeff.
Good to see you, Catherine. Thanks for joining us. Also in the Boston area is Isra Banks. And so we talked before we went live that snow is apparently coming, but what are you calling it?
It's a bombogenesis. 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 Bombogenesis.
All right. So Isra
and Catherine.
It's a special snow.
Yeah, I don't think we have that in the Midwest. I don't know what that is. But Isra, welcome. Thanks for joining us from Boston. How are you today? All right, Isra we can't hear Isra. She's muted, so we'll work on that. And from the sticks of Vermont, we have Jay Caroli. Hi, Jay.
Hi, Jeff. It's good to see you again.
Great to see you again. Jay and Isra were both. They joined us backstage last night after our Context and Clarity Live conversation.
Spoiler.
I gave it away. Sorry. Spoiler alert.
Oh well, Jeff.
I'll tear up my contract now. That's a breach of contract, Jeff.
Well, it's all over now.
Our fellow Massachusetts person has given the definition of bombogenesis. It's actually like a winter hurricane.
Wow!
Awesome.
Oh,
that sounds like a really fun
time. I was swearing that Catherine had made that up.
I know it sounds like a word I'd make up, but I did not make it up. I just enjoy it.
Yeah, you know what? I'm going out on this limb. I think Catherine and Chris are in cahoots, and they're both making it up. So that's where I'm going with it.
Well, you have to also. You can look it up later.
Okay. Also joining us from Ithaca, New York, Christian Nielsen Palacios. Welcome. Hi, Christian.
Hi there. How are you guys?
Doing well. How's Ithaca? Any bombogeneses headed your way?
Not that I know of. We still have about 10 inches left from 2 or 3 days ago, but I know we have a wind chill advisory for tomorrow, so it's going to be especially cold, but that's it.
Wow. Okay. We have 10 flakes of snow here in Indianapolis. And Mark R. LePage, founder of Entree Architect, the community.
Hello.
The Godfather.
the Godfather of Entree Architect.
Well, I'm getting old enough for that. There was a time where that wouldn't be appropriate. No snow here in Carolina. I left the snow behind in New York. I don't do that stuff anymore.
Wise.
Sorry.
Yeah. You're all welcome. Come down. I don't miss it. I don't miss it at all.
I'm sure not.
My kids.
I think it would be easy to get used to it. Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, send her. Well, I was going to say send her to Indianapolis, but we have not. We've had very, very little snow this winter, which has been a little bit odd. But so send her up to Ithaca, or probably the sticks of Vermont has a lot of snow.
Well, my oldest son is in Syracuse right now, and it was like 5 degrees this morning. So
good for him.
Yeah.
Well, as we said at the beginning, the opening here, and as we've been anticipating all month, this is our inaugural book club meeting for Context and Clarity. So again, if you set a goal, if you said, "Hey, I need to read more," that's why we're doing this book club with Context and Clarity. What does that mean? It means that every month we will name a book at the beginning of the month. Actually, at the end of this session today, I'll tell you what next month's book, what February's book is. You'll have until the last Friday of February, and we'll do another one of these sessions where a bunch of us will join on screen and we'll talk about the February book. And we'll do that month after month. So if you need to read more, then join us for the Context and Clarity Book Club, and you'll get 12 books over the course of the year. There's no cost to this, right? It's just It's just our community getting together to read a book and discuss a book, hopefully learn from it and put something into action. And like I said, this month's book is Atomic Habits. I think it's a great place to start out the year. Atomic Habits by James Clear. So maybe just to throw out the first question for those of you in the chat, as well as those of you on screen, because we do want everybody over in the wherever you are, Facebook or LinkedIn or Twitch or Twitter or YouTube, answer the questions. Join this conversation with us. So maybe the first question for everybody out there is, what was your favorite of the Atomic Habits book? Anybody want to start out with their favorite part of the book? All right.
I found it kind of hard to remember the book. I don't know why. I have listened to Blinkist twice. I listened to the book twice, and yeah, it just goes right over.
It's because you're listening to it at 6 times speed.
Yeah.
So Chris had already jumped in and said that habit stacking was going to be his new go-to method. And right. I like the idea of habit stacking. It's kind of an if-then statement, right? So where it's also when if. So when I do this, I'm going to do this. And it's just a key for things that are already a natural habit, but you're adding on to that. And it's a prompt, it's a cue, he calls them, for that next thing that you're trying to add. And you already do the one thing naturally, add something to it. I agree with Chris. I thought that was great.
Yeah. And I right above Chris's comment there, I see Amanda Eden. Hi, Amanda. Great to have you join us today. She says she started habit stacking before she even knew it was a thing. So to me, I think that's one of the great things about the book is that there are a number of things in there that maybe it's just me, but they seem really natural. I didn't necessarily think of them, don't necessarily do them, but as I listened to the book, so as I was listening to James Clear talk about it, yeah, that seems really natural. That seems to really make sense to me. So I like that aspect of it. Isra, I think I cut you off. I apologize.
No, that's okay. I was gonna say the environmental design is like that's kind of pretty much touched with what we do when we design to other people, and it's just highlights the importance of like he tells the story of research of clinic manager or a researcher. She wanted her the staff to eat better, and they just started by, without even promoting it, without even saying anything, they started changing the layout of the cafeteria and tracking the sales. They found that people were buying more water bottles than they used to, just based on the environmental. So just simple tweaks in your environment can promote. And then the other thing is we probably did, Jay and Catherine and I discussed that earlier, was the family and environmental behavior pressure, or probably we call it peer pressure or cultural conformance. That's not the right word. So yeah, when there are people, cultural. He calls it cultural issues, when people are behaving in a certain way. That's exactly what we feel obligated to do to fit in, and I think that's a perfect example to what we do here in Montreal Architect. We keep each other accountable. We just promote good spirit, and yeah, I think that was like, yeah, that's what my Montreal Architect friends are for.
Yeah, your built-in accountability partners.
Mm-hmm.
That's yeah. I think that's good. Go ahead, Christian. Sorry.
Yeah, I think although I believe that's towards the end of the book, but the accountability partner thing is, I think, at least for me, going to be critical, because while I agree with Isra, I think I need a more formal arrangement for that, because I read this book a year ago, so I don't remember all the details, but obviously I have not increased my productivity or anything by 1% every day, because I would be extremely successful if I had. And I need to remember and restart all the good ideas that I had when I read the book, and actually make a habit out of those things. So he makes everything sound so like it makes so much sense that you think that anybody could have written this book, but it's hard to put it into practice and to be consistent.
Yeah. And along those lines, Tim Dearborn says a small incremental change to better ourselves can lead to bigger and better things. And I was going to, I use the Audible app, and so I bookmark on Audible a lot. I meant to look this back up before we went live, but James Clear uses that analogy, I guess, that 1% improvement every day leads to exponential growth, or some version of that, which is not his original thought. And he, at the beginning of the book, he talks about who actually coined that. But I think that's, for me, that's one of the biggest ideas in there as well.
I think The Compound Effect is another great book, by the way. But that's really powerful, that the little tiny incremental improvements add up to huge adjustments in your life if you just take one consistent step over time. Growing Entree Architect is exactly that, just starting, right? Just saying, okay, this is what I want to do, and I want to create that and start with one action. And that's actually one of the things that I wanted to mention that I took away from the book, is the concept of motion versus action, which is one of the things that I struggle with, that I am constantly, I come up into this office at 8 o'clock in the morning and I leave at 6 o'clock, and I'm constantly doing something, right? But if I look at what I've done, half of it is probably motion, right? It's just me going through the process. It's not taking action. And when you take action, that's when things actually happen. And that's really something that was really powerful for me.
Can you remind me what that is again? Sorry, Jay.
The difference between motion and action was what Mark was saying. I'm right there with him. I'm the beginning of the week I was reading 12-Week Year, and he talks about it, and I forget what he uses as the term for action. Maybe action, but it's the same idea that we spend a lot of time looking like we're doing things, and we are doing things, but it's really just a plan to do something, and we're not actually. And once we actually create that action, that's that 1%.
Yeah, he says that action results in an outcome.
Right.
That's the difference between motion and action.
So my to-do list would be all motion, right? To-do lists are all motion. Okay,
right.
Got it. I have a lot of those, though.
I think he kind of parallel to that, although I don't think they're perfect synonyms, but when he talks about goals and systems, and that winners and losers have the same goals. So what is different is the systems.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a very powerful statement. And how to design the way to where you want to be in terms of goals. So yeah, you set goals, and then the system and putting these together is a big key, and probably that's what personally I need to focus on.
So I think Sarah Lee is saying that the implementation is
right.
is so you can plan for all kinds of things, but until you implement them, it's just a plan.
Right. Planning is motion. Right. And architects are really probably it's probably a big piece of who we are, right? Because we are all dreamers. We like to dream.
I was thinking that, Mark. So if somebody comes to me and they say, "Hey, I want to build a house," well, I'm just the motion. I'm not the action, right?
Yeah,
Right.
it's true.
But I have to create a bunch of actions, I think, before they get to their ultimate action.
Yeah. I love to plan, right? I love to live in that future wonderful place that I want to go to. And I could spend my whole day there if someone lets me, right? If I'm not conscious about it. And so I have to be very, taking the action is hard for me. That's painful for me, right? And
Yes.
I'd rather just sit and dream. But in order to reach that dream, you actually have to take action. You actually have to put together a plan and say, okay, this is what I'm going to do, and what's the next step? What's the next action I have to take in order to get to where I want to go?
Well, the thing that a couple people have mentioned, the Sarah Lee and Wendy both mentioned the 2-minute plan, where you just do something for just 2 minutes, and that seems like okay, I could do that for 2 minutes. Like I have to do my 1099s, and I think I'm going to do it for 2 minutes. Well, actually, it's a little bit different because I'm just making myself start. But habits where you could just say like I'm going to stack these habits and just do each of them for 2 minutes instead of a half hour for each of them that you're planning. It seems I could do that. Anyway, but.
And I think, one of the things that I really enjoy about the book is the implementation part of it, and I'm a very habit driven person. So once I start a habit, I can do that forever theoretically. And so I'm going to get the Seinfeld reference in early in this conversation. But one of the examples that he uses is Jerry Seinfeld has his chain where he writes a joke every day. And in the book, he talks about the show on Netflix, the documentary on Netflix called Comedian. And if you haven't seen that, you need to watch it. It's the Seinfeld thing. But in that documentary, Jerry, he has a paper calendar, right? Does anybody remember what a paper calendar looks like? But he has a paper calendar, and every day he writes a joke and he puts a red X. And then the next day he writes a joke and he puts a red X, and that kind of thing, for whatever reason, that resonates with me a lot, because it's like, I don't want to break that chain. So that to me is pretty powerful. Chris and Sarah Lee both have commented with some of the formulas that James Clear talks about in the book. And so one thing, and so thanks to both of you for posting those in the comments. One thing I would say is that in listening to the book, one of the things that you hear is the author will refer to the website. I think it's atomichabits.com. It'd be pretty easy to figure that out. But atomichabits.com, there are some downloadables with some of these formulas that Chris and Sarah Lee kind of fill in the blank type things, tools that you can use that are sort of companions to this if you're interested in that.
Hey, Jeff, I have also another recommendation in reference to Jerry Seinfeld's chain. For people who don't like calendars, paper calendars, I have an app called Strides, which is the same concept. It's a goal setting app. You just basically say, what goals do you want to set? How many times you want to, accomplish that? And then every morning it's a notification. It says, did you do what you said you're going to do? And if you say yes, you click the button and it puts it, it turns it green, right? It turns the chain green. And when I go to the app, I can see all the green dots lined up. And if I'm missing one, like I missed one on my birthday because I didn't have time to do the habit, it's blank, right? So now I have this big long chain, and it also tracks streaks. And so now my streak had to start over because I had to start
like Wordle
the day after. Yeah. So it's
like Wordle or what's a Snapchat? Snapchat's a big thing. All the streaks with the kids, they have to keep out for that. Yeah. But if we could share our Strides app and we could just see if everybody else is doing it or not, that's kind of adds an accountability.
I wonder if you probably can. It probably does have a community aspect to it.
Oh, that would be pretty cool. I just showed my paper calendar, which was a gift from a fellow architect. And I thought, okay, I'm going to use this to keep track of what I do every day. And for the first 8 days of January, I was really good at it. And
See,
then
that's good.
the bottom 3 rows are all blank. I forgot and I
Yeah.
stopped. So that's the kind of issue that I have, is remaining focused and consistent on my trying to develop good habits.
Well, you play Wordle every day, right, Christian?
Yeah.
So maybe you just cross it off after Wordle.
Sounds like a good idea.
Use your mastermind group. Use
Yeah.
the Slack group in mastermind.
Yeah.
Commit to it in your mastermind group. Say, I'm going to do this every day, and I'm going to check in every day, and then every day post it in your mastermind channel.
Yeah, that's a good point. And earlier, Christian, you mentioned accountability partner, and I talk about that sometimes. I have an accountability partner, have had for a couple of years now, I guess. And it's, again, I think some of these things, they work with your personality. They may not work with your personality, et cetera. But I think that's, I'm as big on that as I am on mastermind. So if anybody is wondering about that, I would definitely recommend it. Manuel says, I always seem to have a hard time starting an action, but I noticed that if I have an action that I am supposed to perform and I start it, the act of starting it helps me to accomplish the action. Until I started, it's just movement or planning. Starting, it's hard for me. I think
body in motion, right?
Yeah. Is this the book where he talks about putting the running shoes on?
Yes.
In order to take the run, because I couldn't remember whether it was this book, because I read this book a while ago. Yeah, and actually I use that with my mom. My mom is 75 years old, and she wants to swim every day, but she doesn't, and she wants to turn it into a habit. And so I said, Mom, don't make swimming the goal. I said, Mom, putting your suit is the goal. Put on your swimsuit, and if you don't want to swim, take a swimsuit off, but as long as you put the swimsuit on, you've accomplished the goal. And she does that, and then once you have your swimsuit on, you might as well get in the pool, right? That's what happens.
Right.
This is as long as you have the swimsuit on, that's the hard part. And so,
I'm writing that down.
Put your swimsuit on, Jay.
Just put your swimsuit on.
Well, I'm writing bike shoes, but
it's the same thing.
Yep.
You don't have to go for a ride. Just put your shoes on.
That's it.
Yeah. Sarah Lee says, remember another rule. It's okay to break the new habit once, but don't do it twice. Get back to it immediately. Get back to it the next day.
I was trying to find a way to deal with setbacks. And by setbacks, I mean probably curveballs, or when unexpected things happen, especially as adults, probably as young people or teenagers, life is easier. But when we're at a certain age with a family, sometimes there are setbacks, and how to recover from these setbacks and stay on track. I don't think he discussed that in the book.
Well, he kind of does a little bit with the 2-minute thing. That would be a way to get yourself going again with that habit you were doing.
Right. Do 1 push-up.
Yeah. Which sounds fine. I could do that. Then you have to do 2 eventually.
I mean, it's restarting at that point, I guess.
True.
But yeah, I mean, the whole idea of atomic habits, being the smallest increment, I suppose. He didn't go down to quarks or anything like that, but that really resonates as well as, do the one small thing and then add the next small thing and the next small thing and the next small thing.
Is that physics or chemistry?
Physics, maybe. So I struggle with that because when I was in high school, one of my favorite classes, it was a AP class, I suppose, but it was Chem Phys. So it was a 2-year-long class, yeah. And so you would split it, chemistry and physics, but it all blended together. So now I have trouble pulling the two apart.
You don't know which
it was all the same class. Yeah.
So we could all agree in the room to say that it's art. And then Mark would eventually say, "Oh yeah, that's right, it's art." Is that this book? Is that the right book? Am I?
No, I don't think that's a book.
It's not that book. Oh, I'm sorry. It's Friday afternoon. I might get off tangent. You might not invite me next Friday.
I mean, is it? Maybe I'm wrong about that.
I don't think it is. I don't
have it in front of me.
Well, we were talking about that last night, but
right. But I thought some portion of that came up in this book. That there's and maybe it was in the family and friends habits portion, chapter 9. Maybe somebody can look it up. Where he talks about, you get into these agreements with other people, and we could all convince Mark that quarks are an art topic, not a physics or art. Right? Maybe I'm in the wrong book. I am a reader, which is another topic in the book that he encourages people to just, be who you want to be and say it and say, okay, I am a reader. Yeah. And for years I wasn't a reader. And now I can read 3 books a week and read.
Yeah. I think that what you're talking about, I think, was when they were talking about the study where someone went in the room and they had a bunch of actors.
Yes.
And they would start asking questions, people would answer, and the actors would answer as expected, and the test subject would answer as expected. And then all of a sudden things would change and the actors would answer contrary to what was expected. And the test subject would be a little bit confused, but would eventually, depending on the number of other actors in the room, would eventually go along with it. So
we would all agree that 1 + 1 is 3. And eventually Mark would go, yeah, it's 3.
Eventually Mark would believe that 1 + 1 is 3. Let's try that.
It probably wouldn't take long.
Are you questioning yourself already, Mark?
It's like, is it?
Wait, Jason, it's 3? Okay.
Well, I was wrong. I guess it is in the book.
People say.
And I don't remember it.
Matthew in the comments say that it's the line length study.
Yes.
He says Jay is right.
Okay.
Clear mentions that in the
Sorry,
book.
Jay. You were right.
Well, Catherine, the truth is we've all conspired together to tell you that it's in the book, and it's not.
It's not really in the book.
Okay. Well, I don't remember it, but you say so.
That got very meta very quick. Sarah Lee says the 4 laws of behavior change. Number 1 is cue, make it obvious. Number 2, craving, make it attractive. Number 3, response, make it easy. Number 4, reward, make it satisfying. That's almost the outline of the book there. The concepts in order there. So we've talked about your favorite parts of the book. Do you have a least favorite part, or maybe most challenging part of the book? Might be a different way to look at it. Do you have a least favorite part of the book?
Well, I didn't like when he said if you eat a pizza every night, that's not going to be good. I thought that wasn't necessary to point out.
That hit too close to home, or what?
Well, I mean, it's like the inverse of you do a little bit, like 1% will add up over time, right? It's the same thing with like every night you have ice cream, or every night you have pizza, or every day you have like a bunch of fun-sized Snickers. It's okay that day, but you can't do it every day, and that's bad news.
He did not say anything about ice cream, for the record.
He said about the pizza, like a family-sized pizza every day.
Yeah, no ice cream though.
He didn't say. I was extrapolating into my own life, if that's the right word.
So that was your least favorite, okay?
Yeah, because just remembering like bad habits add up too is like kind of makes you face the fact that it makes a difference. You could just say, "Oh, that doesn't matter. I did that thing this day," but it does matter in the end. We do it every day.
I think that is a valuable part of this book too. Is he talks about good habits and bad habits, and ways to break bad habits, because that's important too. I mean, some of us might have some bad habits, and okay, well, you flip it on its head, right? You do the opposite of the. You make it. Let's see. Go back to Cyril's. You make it unsatisfying. Make it
Unattractive,
hard.
maybe you're not attractive. Yeah, you
Make
make
it
it hard.
unattractive. Hide it. Yep.
You like take the
So-
batteries out of the remote and unplug the TV so that you don't
Yeah.
just mindlessly turn it on.
Yeah. I think that's a good part. I know I just asked about the least favorite part, but
Yeah, I cannot think of any least favorite, but I think one example that he mentioned that caught my eye a year ago, and that I think maybe applies to a lot of what we do, is that example of the photography professor who divided his students into two halves. And one half was the quantity group, and the other one was the quality group. And he said that if you're in the quantity group and you submit 100 photos, you get an A. If you submit 90, you get a B, whatever. And if you're in the quality group, you only have to submit one photo, but it has to be really good. And that he discovered or proved, I forget, that the best photos came from the quantity group just because they kept at it and they kept practicing and they kept doing it. And I think that sometimes our pursuit of perfection in our design doesn't help us.
putting
But
in the
100
reps.
sketches are a great way to suss out a great design, and not just go right to what you think the answer is and then try and figure out how to make that the best design, but sketch it 100 times and overlay and overlay and overlay. That's what I took away from that. I thought it was great. Yeah.
Actual paper?
No, not actual paper.
That's the sketch table behind me.
You can still buy
actual
that stuff?
paper. Paper comes from trees. I think they're going to start making it out of bamboo.
I have some around here somewhere.
That sounds like a Vermont thing to me.
What's an NFT? I don't even know.
There you go. Christian's got his. Okay, there's.
Yes,
All right, yellow trace or white trace, Jay? Or Christian
I do
has yellow.
white.
Okay.
I do white when it's paper. I do a combination of white, canary, and yellow on Morpholio.
How do you do a combination of white, yellow, and canary?
Because I'm overlaying 100 times, so I use
right.
different
So you
colors
use
at different
sometimes-
times
okay.
depending on what I'm doing.
Okay, well, sometimes throw a little black one in there because then it makes a nice like Necco wafer black, like that gray of Necco wafers, if you guys know what I mean.
A black
Wow.
trace?
Yeah, you can make
Where?
you can make it black in Morpholio. I always do that, like when I'm writing notes to myself and I want my life to be more exciting. I use the black.
Just changed Jay's life forever.
And I'm going to use a white pen?
Yeah.
Come on.
Yeah, you could use white pen or gray pen, yellow, pink, red, blue. They all look great on the black.
That's Eric Reinhold does his videos. He does it white on black.
It's really exciting. I don't think you can trace with the black, but you can put the black in the back and then it makes it gray off the white on top. Anyway, yeah, it's not black trace. I don't know where my iPad is, so I can't even look it up right now. I just wanted Jay to have a little more fun. That's all.
Yeah, I don't have enough
Jay-
fun.
I know.
Jay needs to have more fun. This is true. I guess I should say, I realize
I gotta
now
say,
that suddenly we're
having
3/4 of the way
fun.
through an hour. What's
What's that? It's the J way.
Having
the
fun.
J way?
It's the J way.
There you go. It's the J way.
Hey, speaking of that, I thought we could have a little tagline. We read the book so you don't have to.
Okay. All right. So let me ask this question. Well, first of all, for those of you that have joined us in the last 45 minutes, hi, welcome. Thanks for joining us. You found the Entree Architect Context and Clarity conversation. This is our inaugural. It's our first ever Context and Clarity book club meeting. We're starting this for 2022. This month, we have read Atomic Habits. That's what we're talking about now. In just a few minutes, I'll tell you the book that we're going to read for February. And we're going to do this every month. So over the course of the year, You can do your math. You can look at your calendar and figure this out on your own. But we're going to read 12 books or listen to 12 books over the course of the year and talk about them. Last Friday of the month is the goal for the book club conversation. I realize when we get to probably November and December, we may need to change that a little bit because of holidays or such. But that's what we're doing here. So if you've joined us and you haven't said hi yet, if you joined us on Facebook or YouTube or Twitter or Twitch or LinkedIn, say hi if you haven't. Just let us know that you're here and let us know where you're joining the conversation from. It's always fun to see where everybody is. Again, we're talking about Atomic Habits by James Clear today. So Catherine wants to use the tagline, "We read the book so you don't have to." But this morning on Clubhouse, Catherine,
yeah,
I know you hosted our Clubhouse coffee talk this morning. So thank you for doing that. First of all, what was the question you asked on Clubhouse this morning?
Why do we read? Why do we read? And that's it. That was a question.
That was the question. And what kind of answers did?
I said there are maybe 3 reasons that you read: to get information, or you read for pleasure, which is appreciating the art of the literature, the words and the characters, storyline, all the rest of that. And then other people added that they get, philosophical input, or however you would put that. And also, what was that? What was the other one that people said? Oh, learning something. That was information. Anyone else remember what other people said? Anyway,
inspiration. Did you say that?
Yeah, inspiration. Yeah, from like different spiritual books and things. And anyway, I was just wondering if I'm the only one who just is trying to get the information out of business books, because Jeff likes to savor them, and I just can appreciate that we are different types of people. And Jeff was saying a couple things about me just getting through it. And so my question was, doesn't everybody just want to get through the business books? I mean, there's another reason that it was your homework, that you had to do it. So that's honestly why I read some of these books, but I do get something out of it. But I'm doing it just to get the information, so I don't take my time reading them. But I do take my time listening to fiction. I would not speed that up. Well, I would if the person was really slow. I'd have to, just because they're irritatingly slow.
So I knew Catherine was going here with this. And I don't see Atomic Habits as a business book.
Okay. All right. The business book, maybe it's just, that's too specific. Nonfiction. But not nonfiction like information. It's like, what do you even call it? It's not history. So that's nonfiction, right? But it's like more like...
Depends on who wrote it.
Is it self-help? Is it self-help? Yeah.
Probably.
Yeah.
No, I do love a good self-help book. But I listen to it fast because I don't have that kind of time to spend on my own improvement. I got a lot of books to read.
She got to go.
I got to go, yeah.
Did you hear how fast she said that? I got a lot of books to read. She almost said that at like 1.75.
Exactly. Maybe that's the way I wish everyone
1.75 is too slow for her, I think.
No.
It depends on who's talking. But Mike Michalowicz, I listen to him at 2 times speed, so he thinks he's fast talking.
And he
fast.
talks at 2 times speed.
He's
so
a
you're
Jersey
actually
guy,
listening to it at 4 times speed.
Yeah.
But
a lot of these books repeat themselves. They don't exactly have a lot of extra information in between the little bits of information, I've noticed.
I love business books because they go ahead. Say it again.
I'm just saying that I sometimes think there's a lot of filler in between.
Yeah, sometimes some books,
some books have a lot of filler.
Definitely have filler.
Yeah,
those are not the good ones. I love business books because they take me right back to that dream state. Because as I'm reading it, I'm imagining, I can do that. I can live in that world. I'm going to go there. Right. And so that's why I like them. I like living in that world. And so when I'm reading a business book, it inspires me to think about what that future could look like.
That's true. Those are the good ones, though, Mark.
Yeah, the good ones. You know what? I also have a rule. If I'm reading a book that I think is a waste of time, I stop. I don't have enough time in my life to waste the amount of time that it takes to read a book on a book that I think is fluff and not worth reading.
Yeah. Unless you're interviewing them.
Unless you're interviewing them. And that's true. But even then, I might just go find some notes somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. I will tell you that someone gave me a book recommendation. I think probably most people on here have heard me say that I listen to books. I don't read them. I was driving to Atlanta, and so I had time to listen, lots of time to listen to a book. And so-and-so recommended this book. So I put it on. I started listening. I got into it. I'm like, this has got to get better. And surely the next chapter is going to get, and so on and so on. And I got to a traffic jam just north of Chattanooga, Tennessee, where we got rerouted off of the interstate and got to the last chapter of the book. And, there's sort of the summary of the entire book. And I actually got angry.
You wasted your time.
Because
you could have read something else.
You could have summarized this, or just that summary could have been the entire book. But I wasted all the time from Indianapolis to Chattanooga, Tennessee, and whatever backwoods haunt I was in as we were being, detoured around. And at that moment, I realized that the thing could have been about 5 minutes long.
Grant Cardone's 10X rule.
That's exactly the book I'm talking about.
Oh, that's so funny because that's so funny because
guess we're not going to read that one.
I did not know that's what you were talking
That's
about.
Funny.
It's just I had the same thing, but I stopped. I read about 2 chapters, and basically the premise of the book is work 10 times harder. And he said
there's an idea.
50 different ways to work 10 times harder. It was such a waste of time.
He said it over and over in different ways for a grand total of about 8 hours. That is exactly the book I was talking about.
Over and over again. Work 10 times harder.
But Jeff, now you've got Blinkist.
And now that I have Blinkist. So that's my some of you have heard me say this as well, but that's my new tool, because when someone recommends something, or I see one of those Instagram posts where we were talking about this last night, Elon Musk recommended everybody should read these 7 books or something. Well, that's pretty interesting. So I take those 7 books and I go to Blinkist, and Blinkist summarizes. They create blinks, is what they say. So the major ideas, I guess, the big ideas of the book. And so I'll go through in Blinkist and listen, maybe it's 15 minutes to listen to the big ideas of the book. And then I decide whether or not
see if it's worth
I want to actually listen. Yeah. So there will be no more Grant Cardone.
Why would you want to listen to the book after you got the content from Blinkist, though? That's what I just downloaded Blinkist also, and why?
Go ahead.
Why?
And Catherine's never reading a book again.
Never going to read another book again.
It's over.
This is where that conversation started last night. It's why do you read?
Yeah, that's true.
I have said this before, but I think Jeff is probably one of the most well-read persons I know, and he's always recommending and quoting books. So I personally am looking forward to the day that somebody quotes you. So get started.
For your book,
I want you to write a book, and Mark and Catherine and Isra and Jay.
On my bucket list.
No book from me. I'm just going to read other people's books.
No, she's not. She's going to blink other people's books.
Yeah.
Look, I've got a lot of books.
She canceled her Audible subscription and signed up for the Blinkist
Just the Blinkist lady. No, I got my Profit First. I've got your Bad Ass, and a lot of self-help books around here.
Well, Christian, hopefully sometime soon. And
then you know what? How about that'll be our first book in 2024? Jeff, would be your new book. Jeff Eccles wrote a book about
2024. Wow, that gives me a lot of time to procrastinate.
23.
Well, 24 just seems a little more realistic because he's going to have to get a publisher and an agent and everything else.
Well, there was the story. Exactly. There's a story in Atomic Habits. The author of The Hunchback of Notre Dame. What's who's the author?
Victor Hugo.
Victor Hugo. So in Atomic Habits, he tells that story of Victor Hugo had put off, his publisher was expecting a book, gave him a year or something. He missed the deadline or something like that. And so what Victor Hugo ended up doing was he gave his assistant all of his clothes.
Yeah, that's right.
And the
He
only
was just
thing
wearing a
he had
blanket
was
or something.
He couldn't go out anymore.
He couldn't go out because he was entertaining and he was doing all these things he wasn't writing. So he basically got rid of all of his clothes. So he couldn't go out, and that forced him to write in 6 months. And it was published 2
It was
weeks
early. It was
before the
faster,
deadline
right?
or something.
Yeah, it was faster. He probably wanted to
Yeah.
go out again.
Sure.
Well,
Yeah.
maybe he was just cold. I
He
don't
was
know.
motivated.
He was motivated. I don't
That's a
remember
great idea, though.
exactly the there's a lesson there. There's a
Listen, that was the
technique
make
there,
it hard. Yeah, that was the make it hard to
yes, that's exactly right.
to do your bad habit.
Yeah. Yep. You're right.
Yeah.
You're right. Yeah. So,
Although it sounds like
get
he's the
rid of-
kind of guy who
get
would
rid
have
of your
gone out in the
clothes.
town in a blanket. Right? Would that really have stopped him?
I
I don't know. Maybe
Apparently
back
it
in those
did.
days. Yeah, it did.
So
Oh, that was an interesting part of the book. That was he? No. So somebody bought a red robe, a beautiful red robe, and then they had to redo their kitchen, and they had to redo their bathroom, and they had to buy all new clothes, and it may have brought us around to the stack effect. I don't.
I feel like we read different books, Jay. I don't remember that at all either.
No, that was the Renaissance artist whose daughter was getting married,
Right.
and
he couldn't afford it.
Not this
And-
Catherine from Russia, Catherine the Great.
The Great,
Ca-
I think,
yeah,
gave him
Catherine.
1,000, whatever, which was worth
Yep.
150,000 in today's money.
Mm-hmm.
And he was talking about the habit that, just that habit that, if I paint this wall, then the wall next to it looks dirty, and I have to paint that wall, and then I have to paint the
Diderot
next
effect.
wall, and then I need the Diderot effect. That's it. Good job,
just
Chris.
don't do that at all.
Chris read the book.
Yeah, I'm impressed. There's a lot of folks that are either looking things up very quickly or they have a good recall of the book.
I liked Chris's picture there. He just seemed really serious next to Diderot effect. Somehow that looked
That's
like
his
it was
new name.
illustrating
His new
it.
name is Diderot.
yeah. I don't know. Struck me.
That's serious, Chris,
Yeah, that's serious.
as
Chris.
opposed to independent George. Oops.
I can't say it.
It's another Seinfeld reference. 2 in one sitting.
Hey,
It's a limit.
but
Yeah, you
in
just
my
hit the
head, they
ceiling.
don't ever stop. It's just
I
how,
know
how many
they
get through
don't.
the
It's
filter.
amazing. I think
Yeah,
I'm going to
they
have
don't.
to, just to get a little closer to you, Jeff, I'm going to have to rewatch all the Seinfeld shows so
They're on Netflix.
I can get on your
relate.
wavelength. Yeah.
It's
Maybe
True
I'll stack that
Confessions
with
at
riding
one
my
point. Yeah. You ride your bike to power the Netflix. At one point, I had every Seinfeld episode recorded on VHS. So,
What'd you do with it?
Fun fact.
You
Remember
didn't
that for
pirate
next
it,
year's
though,
holiday
Jeff.
party.
There,
Sounds like a good,
there you go.
a good trivia question
Trivia.
for next
Chris,
year's
I like
party.
that picture. Chris
Yeah.
doesn't like his profile picture, but I can't really even see any detail not to like it. I just like the colors in there.
Serious,
I
Chris.
started binge
stand.
watching Seinfeld in order to be a worthy member of Anti-Architects.
There you go.
I'm in season 3 right now, but
It is in the owner's manual. I don't know if you
yeah,
read it.
I'm wondering if that's one of the things that I have
It's
to
in the
give
rule
up
book.
in
Yeah,
order
it's in the
to
rule book.
acquire a better habit.
You might have to. You might have to give that up. Yeah, that'll take a lot of time. Which is what, nine
I
seasons,
think
I
that's a
believe.
good habit.
Yeah, Sarah Lee wants us to
Fine.
cut to the chase
Oh,
and tell her what the new book
Good
is.
question.
Yeah, I was waiting for someone to ask that. So, any last thoughts?
Yes,
Any
I have an
last
idea. How about
thoughts?
you give the new title in charades, Jeff? You have to act it out. We all have to guess what it is.
No.
No, we're not going to do that. All right.
Sing it. Sing it out of tune.
Well, before we
would
go,
definitely be out of tune, but-
did we miss Mark's birthday? And is the whole choir here?
No, the whole choir is not here.
No.
That would be
The
dangerous.
choir's in quarantine.
Thank you for the thought, Jay.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Happy
you.
birthday, Mark.
To you. Dear Mark.
Cumpleaños feliz.
Oh, here it comes. What's the next book, Jeff?
The next book. So first
Sounds
of all,
like-
thank you all for joining us for this and reading the book. The book for February
It's a book.
for the
Sounds like.
Context and Clarity
So
Book Club.
Has it
also
been
a
made
movie.
into a movie?
yeah.
No, it
No.
has not been made into a movie. However, the author of the book is prolific on YouTube, on Masterclass. Well, I guess probably the videos on their website are probably the ones on YouTube.
Give clues and let us guess.
Okay, it's a book about negotiation.
Oh,
Okay. Well, you already knew what it was, Jay.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
yeah.
if I
Well,
can guess.
I didn't remember.
Jay and I.
So anybody that okay, the first person in the comments section.
Yep, Chris got it
There
already.
we go.
I won't
Never
even
split the diff.
finish that. Never split the diff. Never
Rhymes
split the
with
difference
lost.
from rhymes with the north side of a tree.
It rhymes with floss.
Chris Voss. Chris Bose.
Chris Voss.
Voss. Oh. Are you doing speech to
Or
text
Chris,
there?
or Chris Bose. We can read
They're all
Chris
trying to
Bose.
win a bathtub.
We can read Chris Bo's version.
I have
That's a
not read
very
that one.
rare version.
It is a rare
Never
version.
split
So
the diff.
yep, Chris Voss is a former head hostage negotiator for the FBI. He wrote a book called Never Split the Difference. And it is, I think, just like I think Never Split the Atomic Habit. I think that's good. I think Atomic Habits is a great read. I think it's a great way to start out
Leave
the
it to
year.
Rod.
I think all of you need to read Never Split the Difference. One of my goals for 2022 is essentially to channel Chris Voss as much as I possibly can, because I think it is helpful. Definitely in negotiation. I'm not planning on negotiating for hostages at all, but I
bet you
think
could,
it's
though.
also maybe might become a habit, not a habit,
A habit. You can
a
start that
hobby.
habit.
hobby. But I think it also really helps clarify communications. I think if you really embrace and understand what he says, and you'll have to read the book, but I think it will really clarify your communication as well. So, Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss is the book, and what's the date? It would
February
be
25th.
February 25th. Thank you. February 25th, we will discuss Never Split the Difference, Friday, February 25th. So that is the book.
Sometimes split the difference.
Never
Never.
Split the Difference.
Occasionally.
Never.
That's the runner. That's the
That's Catherine's
next one in the
sequel.
series.
Okay, just this time we'll split the difference.
The,
Maybe
That's my
this time.
sequel.
the
Hobby and habit. It's Hobbit.
yes. That's when the brain's running out of energy there.
It's a hobbit. A lot of meetings today.
He figured it out. He broke the code there. Very good. Manuel, we're going to send you a special crocheted bathtub just for that,
I gotta
for
get going.
cracking the code there. Yep. All right. With that, everybody, this has been fun. I hope everybody enjoyed this as much as I did. It's fun.
Are we
I
giving
appreciate.
thumbs up or down for the book?
Okay. Yeah,
Oh.
good question.
Oh.
Thumbs up or thumbs down for
I'm
the
gonna
book?
go thumbs up. I say
Yeah.
Catherine, even
Yes.
though she's not into.
just because I'm not, just because I don't listen to them slowly doesn't mean I don't get anything out of them. Except for I forget half of it, obviously.
Okay.
I don't know what I'm trying to
I'll-
say. I liked
also,
it though. It has a lot of good advice.
Yeah, I think it's very good. Anybody on Facebook as well, give the if you can figure out how to do this on Facebook, give us the emoji, thumbs up or thumbs down in the comments here as we wrap this up. And thank you to all of you for Diego. Thanks for the thumbs up on the YouTube side. Thank you for that. Thanks for reading the book. My encouragement to all of you is to try to put as much of this into action as possible. Jefferson's got a different thumbs up and
it's Friday night. He started early.
I'm not sure if that's a thumbs up or if he's holding on to the Stein. But
Chris, that's not a troll. That's Diego. But that would be funny if the troll gave it.
Yeah, that's Diego.
That would be
Diego,
funny.
you should put your name and picture on there so we can see you.
But
now that I know that Diego's in Nicaragua, I want to go visit.
Yeah.
Okay, he's gonna. You can drop a hint, Jay.
That was it. Doesn't get much more subtle than that, Catherine.
Yeah, post his address in the group later.
Yeah, subtle hint there. Well, thanks everybody. Thanks for doing this with us. I'm looking forward to the rest of these book club meetings, conversations, discussions. Like I said, this is one of the reasons I wanted to do this. Is I set a goal. I think it was 2019 because I had not, like Jay was saying, he was not a reader. I had not read anything in a long time, other than maybe some articles and things like that. And so for some reason, I set a goal in 2019 to read 12 books, one a month, and that was the best goal I ever met, and just blew it out of the water. I was about 30 by the end of the year. And that's really been kind of life-changing and game-changing. So hopefully you'll come along this journey with us and participate and read Never Split the Difference by Chris Voss in February. We'll discuss it Friday, February 25th. It's almost February, by the way. And almost February.
I don't know how that.
1/12 done with 22.
Yep. A third of the way through the first quarter at this point.
Goes fast. Don't blink.
We can make it hurt even more. So thanks to all of you. Appreciate all of you. Of course, next week we will have a brand new Context and Clarity live guest. It will be Jesse Cole, who is the owner of the Savannah Bananas, a minor league baseball team.
This is going to be awesome. He's
the author of Find Your Yellow Tux. He has a new book coming out in, I think its release date is May. You may be going, what? Owner of a minor league baseball team? Look up Jesse Cole.
Look him up.
All right.
Find an interview. Read his book if you want. We will. This is going to be a really great conversation. I will post tomorrow morning inside the Entree Architect Community Facebook group about this and ask you, as always, what do you want to talk about next week? So look for that post tomorrow. We'll have a whole new round, a whole new group of topics for the week. Obviously, talking to Jesse Cole on Thursday for Context and Clarity Live. So if you're not in that Facebook group, if you're just now finding this and experiencing this, we'll be back here Thursday at 4 p.m. Eastern with that interview with Jesse Cole. And then Friday will be another mystery member spotlight inside the Entree Architect Community Facebook group. So I'm looking forward to another great week of Context and Clarity with all of you. I appreciate all of you making Context and Clarity a thing, because now we get to talk about books. Now we get to read books and talk about books amongst everything else that we do. So thanks for that. Please, all of you, take care of yourself. Be well, be safe. Keep those around you safe and well. Take a little bit of time to breathe this weekend and relax. Find a way to get rejuvenated, because we're going to do it all over again next week. So until then, wherever you are in the world, have a great afternoon, a great evening, a great night, a great weekend. I appreciate all of you, and hope that I'll see you somewhere sometime soon. So thanks everybody. See you Monday.
Bye all.
Bye, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.